today I want to talk about the four temperaments. And so first I want to recommend actually a YouTube channel that taught me kind of everything I needed to know. And then these books are just great supplemental things. And Sensus Fidelium, I learned about the four temperaments, and I frequently listen to those talks again, and I just search their channel typing temperaments. Okay, but now let's get into the books that I have to show you. So, I love The Temperament God Gave Your Kids. It is so helpful. I think I read it like 10 years ago, and I read it cover to cover, and it's so helpful. If you don't know what temperaments are, so basically there are four temperaments, and they are Choleric, Sanguine, Melancholic, and Phlegmatic. So once you really start learning about it, I find it relatively easy to kind of determine, at least for example, my husband's temperament and my children, and people can have kind of like a dominant one and some traits of another one, but so I really like this one, and I definitely recommend it for moms or dads. This one is great. I have not read the whole thing, but I use it as reference, and I think it is amazing. And The Temperament God Gave Your Spouse. So this one is a really good one also. I also have an audio book, but actually as a mom now, I like audiobooks the best because then I can be multitasking, doing chores. And next up is this book. It was published like in 1935, The Four Temperaments by Father Conrad Hawk. And this one is wonderful. Like it's only, this is like a really tiny print version, and it's 57 pages. So it gives like a really great, concise overview of the four temperaments and how they can be applied to your life. And what I like to know about this is because it's really helpful to know like what virtues come more easily to each particular temperament, and also which vices one is more susceptible to fall into. That information is invaluable because then you can really start working on those vices and develop strategies and be prepared. For example, a melancholic temperament are great leaders, but they can struggle with pride or with anger. And I think I am a melancholic, and so more of a thinker, but sometimes like you can end up thinking too much. So I think that the predominant fault they can fall into sometimes is like despair or pessimism. The phlegmatic, St. Thomas Aquinas, they say, was a phlegmatic, and so it was amazing. But I guess phlegmatics can fall into sloth. That's interesting, right? And the other temperament, let's see, I said melancholic. Oh, sanguine. So I have one of my children is a sanguine. They're so fun, so energetic and spontaneous, but they can fall more easily like into vanity and things like that. So it's just helpful. You can't lump people into set in stone categories, but it's definitely useful as a guide for knowing one's strengths and weaknesses, and also to petition patron saints that had the same temperament. And if you find that Sensus Fidelium talk, actually I'll link it down in the description. They mention a few examples of patron saints or saints that shared each of the particular temperaments. So yeah, you can ask them for help or follow their example. So I showed you this older version that I got on eBay of the Four Temperaments by Father Conrad Hawk. But there is like 2 newer prints on Amazon. I think they're just like self-published ones. And this one is nice that it has a questionnaire at the end, about 50 questions, and you tally it up at the end, and it can help you determine your temperament. But it is like a scanned copy, like of maybe an old original version. So I don't know if you can tell in the camera, but it's just like slightly fuzzy, and that does, for me, make my eyes tired. So that's why I went ahead and just got an original. It wasn't too expensive. It was really easy to find. Last but not least, definitely not least, is this massive 800-page book by Fr Ripperger. It's called Introduction to the Science of Mental Health. This was a birthday present for me a couple of years ago, and I love this book. I have not read it cover to cover, but it's just such an amazing resource. It has a summary of the temperaments, and preceding that, they talk about Fr Ripperger talks about the predominant fault, and then he references some other amazing books, 3 Stages of the Interior Life, the Christian Life, Spiritual Theology, all those, and they are amazing resources. And I've heard them referenced in some really good homilies. So I just think that this book has like such a wealth of knowledge, and so do not let the title of the book throw you off, because when I first saw it, I wondered, like, that sounds more like an academic book, mental health. I majored in psychology, but I don't know, that title kind of threw me off a little bit, but yes, it is a wealth of knowledge, and for me, definitely worth having around. So if you want to hear more about it, I love talking about the temperaments and going into more detail and specifics. Consider commenting or asking any questions. I'll try really hard to get back to you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.